Now, the question says that nel incrocio rappresentato in figura il veicolo P passa per primo perché ha la destra libera, vero o falso? So the question says that in this junction figure, vehicle P passes first because the right is free. So P passes first, simple because he has the right free. And we know that, guys, the answer to this question is false. Yeah, the answer to this question is false. Okay, so now, guys, how the orders of these vehicles. Now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 rows connecting to each other, and we have only 3 vehicles approaching towards the junction. And if you look at the junction, okay, now the right of P, if you look at this direction, the right of P is this road, the A and the C, and the right of A is only the C, and the right of C is this road, this one, and the one occupied by the P, and this one also. And the question says that P passes first because the right is free, and the answer to this question is false. This right of P is free, but he has the second road, the third road, which is occupied by the A and the C. So the law says that by applying the principles or by seeing this junction, we must know, because everything is stated in the books. So even if you don't know the principles, once you have read the book, you must know that the first vehicle to go is the C, because it is true that the C has this road free, this one is free, but the P is here. But the direction is not crossing or touching the directional arrow of P. So C is the first vehicle to go. After C is gone, the second vehicle to go is the A. And finally, P is the last vehicle to go. Yeah, so by seeing or by having a look to this junction, automatically you must know that the C goes first, A goes second, and P is the last vehicle. So the question says that vehicle P passa per primo perché alla destra libera. P passes first because the right is free. Nella situazione rappresentata in figura, il veicolo O deve attendere che transitino tutti gli altri veicoli, vero o falso? So the question says that with this situation that we see in the junction, okay, O deve attendere. When we say deve attendere, it means that O must wait. So all the vehicles at the junction will transit. And the answer to this question is false. So guys, how are these vehicles going to pass? We know that O must not wait till all the vehicles passes at the junction. Exactly. So now we know that the first vehicle to go is the tram. After the tram is gone, then the A will move and stop in the center of the junction. And whilst the A is waiting in the center of the junction, the O will move, the M will go, and finally the A will be the last vehicle to finish crossing. So it is not true that O must wait till all the vehicle passes. Secondo le norme di precedenza nell'incrocio rappresentato in figura, il veicolo D passa per primo, vero o falso? So according to the rules of right of way at this junction figured, vehicle D goes first. And we know that the answer to this question is false. So now, guys, how are these vehicles going to pass? And so if you look at the junction, you can see a curved triangle. So it tells you that a vehicle will move and stop in the middle of the junction. Now, the first vehicle to move is the vehicle B. He will move and stop in the center of the junction. And whilst the B is waiting in the center of the junction, then R will go. After R is gone, D and N can go at the same time. And then the B waiting in the center will finally go as well. Nella situazione rappresentata in figura, i veicoli transitano nell'ordine T, P, G, B, vero o falso? And we know that the answer to this question is false. It is not true that this is how the vehicles are going to pass in order. T, P, G, and B. No. So how are these vehicles going to pass in order, guys? Okay, so T, being the tram, is the first vehicle to pass. After the T is gone, guys, the second vehicle is the G. Okay, because we have two roads with direct precedenza. So those two vehicles will pass last. So after the T, G will go. Now, between the B and the P, who goes after the G? By looking through the directional arrow, guys, the P is the third vehicle to go. And then finally, the B will go because the B has the P to be on the right-hand side. And then the directional arrow passes or crosses in front of the P. So B can't be the third, but rather P is the third vehicle to go because the P is not passing in front of the B. So the P go and then B will be the last vehicle to go. Now, secondo le norme di precedenza nell'incrocio rappresentato in figura, il veicolo S transita prima del veicolo R, vero o falso? So the question is about only the S and the R. The S and the R. And the question says that according to the rules of this right of way in this junction, S transita prima del veicolo R. So S goes first, or S goes before the R. And if you look at the junction, the answer to this question is vero because, guys, R has direct precedenza. So automatically, the S and the A, they go before the R and the A. And the question says that S transit before the R, and the answer is true. S transit before the R. So guys, now how are these vehicles going to move? Yeah, in order. So indeed, the S is the first vehicle to go, followed by the blue vehicle, which is the A. And then between the E and the R, guys, between the E and the R, the E will also be the third vehicle to go. And lastly, this R, having direct precedenza, will be the last vehicle also to move. Secondo le norme di precedenza, nell'incrocio rappresentato in figura, il veicolo D passa dopo il veicolo R, vero o falso? So the question says that according to the rules of the right of way in the junction figured, so the D passes after the R. The D goes or pass after the R. And guys, the answer to this question is vero, because the B will move and stop in the center of the junction. R will go. After R is gone, guys, the N and the D goes, and finally the B in the junction will go. And the question says that the D will go after the R, and the answer is true. When the B stop in the center, the R will go, and then the D and the N will go. So the answer to this question is vero. Nel incrocio rappresentato nella figura, il veicolo N impegna l'incrocio per ultimo, vero o falso? So the question says that in this junction figure, okay, the vehicle N will engage the road lastly, vero or falso? And the answer to this question is false, guys. No, and will not engage the road lastly, because if N doesn't move, no vehicle can go. So, guys, in questo incrocio, N impegna per primo incrocio. When you say impegna, it means you enter. It doesn't mean that you will finish crossing. You are just engaging. You are getting into the road. And the answer to this question is false, because N will be the first vehicle to engage the road. N will enter and stop in the middle of the junction, and then R will go, A will go, and N will be the last vehicle to go. Edit says that I was thinking, edit, yeah, it is true. N will stop in the middle of the junction. But look at the question. The question says that N impegna. When we say impegna, it doesn't mean that N is the first vehicle to pass. No. For you to know whether the question is talking about the passage, that who is the first vehicle to go, they are going to use, I think, 3 words. They will use passa, transita, or attraversa. If you see passa, transita, and attraversa, it means that that vehicle is going to cross or pass the junction. When you say impegna, Okay, it means you are only getting into the road. It doesn't mean that you are crossing or you are passing. You are engaging. You are getting into. So the answer to this question is false. And il primo il veicolo che si impegna all'incrocio and is the first vehicle to engage or to enter into the road. Of course, you enter and you stop. And then the R, passa, or transita, or attraversa. And then the A, passa, transita, or attraversa. And finally, and stopping in the middle will now passa, transita, or attraversa. Ok, now, nella situazione rappresentata in figura, i veicoli transitano nell'ordine C, R, A, H, vero o falso? Guys, and the answer to this question is vero. Yeah, so C will pass first because don't consider the right of C. Because the right of C, we have H and A. And those roads, they all have direct precedenza. So those vehicles will pass last. So between H and R, sorry, between C and R, C passes first, and then the R will go. And between the A and the H, having direct precedenza, A will be the third vehicle to go, and lastly, the H will also move in. Secondo le norme di precedenza nell'incrocio rappresentato in figura, i veicoli transitano nel seguente ordine: R, C, A, vero o falso? And the answer to this question is false. Because the question says that the C goes followed by the question says that the R goes followed by the C, and A will be the last vehicle to go. And the answer to this question is false because R goes first, A follows, and C will be the last vehicle to go as well. Nell'incrocio rappresentato in figura, i veicoli A, V e C passano contemporaneamente, vero o falso? So A, V and C passano contemporaneamente, vero o falso? And the answer to this question is false. So the question says that the A, V, and C, they pass at the same time. No, they can't pass at the same time. A will go first, E will follow, V will follow, H will follow, and C will go last. So A, V, and C, they cannot pass at the same time. If they do so, they are only going to cause an accident. Let me select some of the 6 rows also. Ok. Giungendo all'incrocio rappresentato in figura, il veicolo D deve dare la precedenza al veicolo H, vero o falso? And clearly, the answer to this question is very, guys. If you look at this junction, D must give right of way to H, and the answer is true. So H goes first, D is second, B is third, and L is the last vehicle to go as well. Nell'incrocio rappresentato in figura, i veicoli passano nel seguente ordine: C, A, H, D, vero o falso? And the answer to this question is false. No. The first vehicle to go is the D. C will follow, A will follow, and H will be the last vehicle to go. Very good, very good, very good. Nell'incrocio rappresentato nella figura, i veicoli T, B, C transitano contemporaneamente, vero o falso? And the answer to this question is false. So, guys, how are these vehicles going to pass in order? Yeah, so the T is the first vehicle to pass. That's the tram. So after T is gone, what happens next? So after T is gone, indeed, B will follow, A will go, and then C will be the last vehicle to go as well. Nell'incrocio rappresentato in figura, il veicolo D deve attendere che il veicolo B sia transitato, vero o falso? And the answer to this question is false. The question says that D must wait till the B is gone, and the answer is false. No, H goes first, D goes second, and then B, that's the blue vehicle, goes last. I think yesterday. Okay, let's finish this question then. We go to the question I posted yesterday also. Dovendo attraversare l'incrocio rappresentato in figura, il veicolo C transita per primo. And guys, the answer to this question is easy. And indeed, the answer to this question is very, guys. C is the first vehicle to go. After C is gone, then A will follow, L, R, and then E. There was a question I posted yesterday. Yeah. And I think most or some of you guys were confused. Now, please look at this junction very well. Nell'incrocio rappresentato nella figura, il veicolo N deve dare la precedenza al veicolo R, vero o falso? I want to know whether we remember, yeah, the explanation I gave yesterday. Nell'incrocio rappresentato nella figura, il veicolo N deve dare la precedenza al veicolo R, vero o falso? Guys, I think we have repeated the same errors yesterday. Yesterday, I told you that, guys, the answer to this question is false. The question says that N must give right of way to R. And guys, it's not true. N must not give right of way to any R. Because if N should give right of way to R, then no vehicle is going to move. And the fact that N moves and stop in the center doesn't mean that N is giving right. N must give right of way to R. Guys, N is stopping in the center because A is on the right hand side of N. That is why the N is stopping in the center. So N must not give any right of way to R. So N moves first and stop in the center of the junction. And then R goes, A go, and finally N will move last. And so guys, know that N non deve dare precedenza al veicolo R. No. The answer to this question is false. Now,